Hello and welcome to the news on HOMEF TV. I am Kome Odomo. First, the highlights. National Food Festival celebrates diversity and culture. EcoCamp spotlights youths, unites through games.
Food, not poison.
Rally against GMO gets federal attention. And the news in detail. Agricultural and environmental experts have debunked the narrative that genetically modified organisms, GMOs, will increase food production and ensure food security. In a one-day organic food campaign organized by Health of Mother Earth Foundation, HOMEF, tagged My Food is Nigerian, which promotes indigenous and organic food, participants were urged to eat healthy, natural foods and promote locally grown foods. The reports.
Representatives from various ministries, farmers, food experts, professional chefs, community-based organizations, civil society organizations, youth and student groups were present at the event. The event stressed that GMO companies have patent rights to their ownership, enslaving farmers to continuous dependence on them, which violates human rights and the right to food. The opening remark by HOMEF's director, Dr. Nemo Bassi, stressed the need to save lives and the future by promoting indigenous food, which aligns with nature and agricultural practices.
I think it should encourage our mothers, our people generally, to have their children, make the right choices when it comes to local food. And, sometimes people think about the time it takes to prepare the food, but really we should think long term when you realize how, consumption of unhealthy food over time can affect your health. I think we'll do the needful, really. And in terms of the taste, we find that local foods, the seeds as we had them in time past actually tasted better than what we have today.
During a panel discussion that focused on food sovereignty, panelists exposed that GMOs will only end up enslaving farmers who will no longer have the right to replant seeds. Panelists urged citizens to adopt agroecology as a viable means of food safety, security, and sovereignty.
They put your cassava in river. Fish. Do you know that it's a shit that fish shit in the river? It's a medicinal. If you go to river, this leaf, there's one leaf, all this leaf that you see that is on the river is a medicinal. Because all this produce our local material to wash this cassava out, and when you chop it, you will find that there is a difference.
I'm so grateful for HOMEF for organizing this. It shows that I'm so happy because it feels like I am being sold to the world out there. Nigerian is sold to the world out there. South is sold to the world out there because I'm a proud African child, a proud Nigerian, and a proud South and Cross River girl.
The food festival brought together food lovers and chefs who experienced the blend of cultural displays and different Nigerian cuisines, underscoring the need to protect and promote indigenous food continuously. Onome Etisiro for HOMEF TV.
Health of Mother Earth Foundation conducted a training workshop for the Niger Delta oil-producing communities on environmental monitoring, engaging them in popular environmental monitoring and evidence-gathering techniques, procedures to distill what constitutes evidence, and how evidence gathering could enhance advocacy. Our correspondent stated that community representatives were tasked with engaging actionable reporting of incidents of human rights abuse and pollution in water bodies and coastal communities.
Facilitators tasked participants with identifying ways of knowing how a water body has been polluted, including chemical monitoring, traditional monitoring, and remote sensing. It was highlighted that some ways to monitor land and what happens around it could involve the use of vital tools and processes, such as low-cost technologies, including satellite technology, large-scale surveys, and field vaults. Fossil politics lead at HOMEF, Stanley Egolo, noted that evidence obtained by digital tools is credible and universally acceptable for litigation and advocacy. He urged the participants to take an interest in defending their environment and gather empirical evidence whenever there is an oil pollution.
It's important for communities to start collecting evidence, environmental evidence, and gathering that evidence to strengthen their campaigns at all levels of their engagements. We believe that environmental monitoring, environmental evidence gathering is a strong tool in ensuring that communities start having evidence-based discussions. Their campaigns become stronger. It authenticates their efforts in trying to protect the environment, and it ensures that when they are speaking to policymakers, it gives them a strong and a level playing field in which they can have their voices heard.
Participants are committed to refraining from exaggerated pollution incidents, as credible facts are sacrosanct in environmental activism, and pledge to work with residents of pollution-impacted communities and avoid taking sides in community conflicts.
In evidence gathering, we've been taught today that you need to be very cautious because it is a very delicate, dangerous adventure. Because the people that are polluting our environment are not sleeping. They are there to destroy everything that will nail them. So you need to be security conscious. You need to use the right gadgets. You need to tag every picture you are taking so that it will show the day, the environment that you are taking that picture. And then you need to save it in a cloud that it will not be lost.
As environmental field monitors, you don't just go into a community and start taking pictures and videos. You have to seek for the license to operate within the community environment, that is, pass through the community structures, at least for the very first time. Subsequently, maybe because you've known some other persons in the community, it will be more easier for you to access the sites of interest in the community. But then we also have areas, several communities in the creeks that do not know anything about NGOs. So this mutual distrust, lack of confidence, in the Niger Delta is the first thing that they will throw at you. So if you are not able to explain yourself, you rather become sorry for yourself, and the omission will be, negative.
The training highlights the importance of using affordable, sensitive tools to monitor the environment in their respective communities. Odudu Abasiasuko for HOMEF TV.
The capacity building for coastal settlements along the Atlantic provided tips on adaptation to mitigate the negative impacts of climate change, such as coastal erosion and high-rising sea levels. HOMEF, through a capacity building program, drew participants from across the Niger Delta region, including Cross Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Bayelsa, Delta, and Edo states, to spotlight the importance of water bodies, which have served as a primary source of water for humans and aquatic life for centuries.
Over time, human activities have changed the dynamics of the aquatic environment. From the exploitation of fossils and the deposition of effluent and water transportation to the indiscriminate dumping of plastics and other wastes into the ocean, which have had grave impacts on both people and the environment. Those who suffer the most from these impacts are coastal communities. It is for this reason that representatives of the coastal communities of Ayetoro, Serobo, Ibno, Joinkrama, Ogulaha, Ikrama, and Epetiama Kingdom came together to discuss issues surrounding coastal erosion, sea encroachment, and livelihood losses. Fossil politics lead at HOMEF, Stanley Egolo, noted that the challenges posed by oil pollution and climate change have made environmental monitoring imperative, regretting that oil-bearing communities often lose cases seeking ecological justice due to a lack of credible scientific evidence. He urged the participants to take an interest in defending their environment and gather empirical evidence whenever there is an oil pollution.
It is important we have knowledge for whatever you want to speak for whatever you want to have, you want to fight for. You must have knowledge of what you are talking about. So an engagement like this brings ideas and information from different communities, because one community cannot do it alone. And also bring us together to know each other, to formulate ideas and mass action structures so that we can speak with one voice, because only one community cannot drive the agenda that will bring restoration to Niger Delta.
Let us build the habit of solidarity. Let us build the culture of always showing care for our environment. Because sometimes when trees are cut down, forest is destroyed, you are also destroying the lives of other beings without knowing. There are birds that depend on the trees. There are animals that depend on the forest. And so degrading the forest for your selfish gains also affects other beings.
Participants highlighted the challenges of environmental monitoring and expressed gratitude for the timely exchange while sharing insights and tips on coping with the menace of land loss caused by ocean encroachment.
Yams are very small these days. The women have to select out of several before they are able to get few to present to the king on that day. So the yield is a very big problem. Then also the flooding is excessive these days. Some years back, when we are growing up, the flooding will start from late May and recede October, latest October 15th. It has started receding. But these days, some years, it will even get to November, shortening even the period for farming.
Earlier, Oba Oluwambe Ojagbuwumi, the Ogolorimbo of Ayetoro, stressed that a core focus of the exchange visit was to build community resilience to climate change, which drives adaptation in livelihood practices. Oduduwa Basiasukwo for HOMEF TV.
Health of Mother Earth Foundation, through the Young Environmentalist Network, TN, has once again brought young people together through its annual Eco Camp and Eco Festival, using creativity, culture, and sports as a tool for climate justice, education, and action. This year's camp, under the theme, My Food is African, with a strong focus on agroecology and food sovereignty and reconnecting young people to indigenous food system, hosted a football game to mark this year's events. Our correspondent Stanley Egolo completes the report.
Through this year's Eco Camp and Eco Festival, TN and HOMEF reinforced the idea that climate action must be rooted in people, culture, and local knowledge. By centering African food systems and youthful creativity, the programs highlighted agroecology not just as a farming method, but as a pathway to justice, resilience, and community power. As part of the sidelines of activities by the Young Environmentalist Network to further build unity and raise awareness of agroecology, a football tournament was held. The friendly games, which were held with the Department of Environmental Management and Toxicology at the University of Benin, served as a reminder that there are diverse ways to unite.
Oh, go! Did I just hear me? This one is not even a win. This is flawless victory. Flawless. 3-0. Wow.
This game between us and EMT is for, well, it's part of our Eco Camp and for advancement of our course. You know, stuff we've been talking about, and this is a way to like do it in a friendly manner with young people. It's a way to capture young people in this kind of place today. Well, it's football. Football unites all. That's the essence of football. Football is the world's game, the beautiful game as it is, and it's one of the best mediums to bring young people together. And this is what we've achieved today. It brings excitement. That's what football is all about. It makes you forget some of the sorrows happening for the main time, and everyone was present. That's the main thing, and the excitement was there.
I want to say a very big thank you to HOMEF for sponsoring this great event. It's an avenue to get together and bond as environmentalists that we are and find greater opportunities for us to better the environment. I want to say a very big shout out to them. We look forward to partnering with them in different things like environmental cleanups and all. So we'll make sure that we try as much as possible to be available and come out in large numbers to support in any of the activities to better the environment.
As part of the Young Environmentalist Network Eco Camp, the young people came together to bond not just in football but in interactive necessities of what concerns the environment. From the Samuel Ogbemudia Sports Complex in the University of Benin, I am Stanley Egolo reporting for HOMEF TV.
Climate crisis continues to threaten the fabric of the society, and young people globally are rising to take the lead role in the fight for sustainable future. The Young Environmentalist Network TN brought together youths from across the Niger Delta to increase their awareness of active advocacy, promote sustainability, and engage in practices that protect the environment through its annual Eco Camp and Eco Festival. This year's camp was held under the theme, My Food is African, with a strong focus on agroecology, food sovereignty, and reconnecting young people to indigenous food systems. Our correspondent, Onome Etisiro, completes the report.
The Eco Camp served as an immersive learning and creative space for youth from different communities, where conversations about food went beyond eating to include storytelling, identity, resistance, and sustainability. Participants took part in interactive agroecology My Food is African workshops that explored African food systems, seed knowledge, traditional farming practices, and the threats posed by industrial agriculture and GMOs. Through hands-on sessions and storytelling, young people learned how food connects directly to land, culture, climate, and community survival. Participants prepared indigenous meals, shared the histories behind their local foods, and reflected on how colonialism and corporate food systems have shaped what Africans eat today. From creating outfits and crafts from locally sourced materials to writing and recording songs about the environment. Through learning, interactions, and research, the negative impacts of GMOs and need for a just energy transition were put on display.
This Africa, I am Africa. Come on, give up. Every guy is culture, every tasty soul. In the fields of green, where life begins, agriculture is the way to make nature win.
The festival brought together youths, TN club members, community members, and partners to celebrate learning through play, culture, and performance. The gathering of young people from different states in the Niger Delta fostered unity, teamwork, and creativity. At the camp, the youth were made to understand the crucial roles in the fight for climate justice, as they are the first generation to feel the impact and the last generation to take action.
I want to say a big thank you to the Autumn Foundation for making this possible. AFSA and other partners that made this very much possible. So during this events, we had Eco Camp, that's what we call it, and Eco Festival. So yeah, so the Eco Camp and Eco Festival comprised of a workshop, target agroecology workshop that was titled or themed My Food is African, and that was the theme for the camp. So it was very interesting because we had young people, students, people below 23 years, between the age of 18 and 23 years. So they came here, they engaged in the workshop, which had storytellings. We traced our history, the importance of our cultural preservation, of our food heritage, and the importance of African food. And we told stories, we had fun memories. You know, people were able to link, okay, things that happened to the past and the significance. So it was very good for us to, to use that to take a trip down memory lane and appreciate our roots and know where we want to go.
The Youth Environmental Assembly culminated with the Eco Festival, which also included members of the TN Club. Onome Etisiro for HOMEF TV.
We'll take a short break. Stay tuned.
Are you looking for a conducive and serene environment to carry out your research works and need the right content to be at your best? Are you a lover of academics and intellectual books? Do you seek proper works of research for knowledge enhancement? Or you want a place to read at your leisure? The HOMEF Library and Resource Center is the right place to be. With our well-arranged and fully stocked bookshelves, searching for your preferred genres and authors is made much easier than you could ever imagine. With our well-experienced librarians and guides, you've got a reading and research pleasure to catch up with. At HOMEF Library and Resource Center, Benin City, Nigeria, it is simply an unforgettable experience.
Welcome back. Health of Mother Earth Foundation convened the second edition of the School of Ecology, bringing together scholars, activists, and frontline community advocates for a session that pulled no punches on environmental justice, activism, and the urgent need to reclaim Africa's future from the grip of extractivism. The session sounded the alarm on the dangers posed by the non-decommissioned oil wells in the Niger Delta region. Our correspondent Esele Ojanelo completes the report.
Speaking at the School of Ecology, the Executive Director of Health of Mother Earth Foundation, Dr. Nimo Bassi, noted that the non-decommissioned oil wells are ticking time bombs, threatening the environment, health, and livelihoods of local communities. He warned that the abandoned structures are waiting to unleash a catastrophic environmental disaster in the region. Other facilitators at the school spotlighted issues that affect the well-being of humans, especially women, who are prone to the pollution bedeviling the Niger Delta region because of their physiology, and that they should also be included in the decision-making processes.
We've had many sessions of the School of Ecology. It's a continuous process because it's a process of learning. And in this particular one, we're looking at building people's power for climate action because globally, there's very little interest in carrying out the needed climate action among policymakers, politicians, and global leaders. Very little. They've had 30 years of debating, having conferences of parties, and yet they're always looking for how to avoid real action. So we need to build power from, the whole idea is to build power from the base. So we're working at building power from communities, from the grassroots, so that they can hold those in authority and those who are carrying action that impede, that destroy the climate, that destroy the environment, responsible and accountable.
Women are more disproportionately affected by the degradation because of their physiology first, because they are already culturally disadvantaged, economically disadvantaged, and then they are burdened with household responsibilities and all that. So it worsens their situation. And it's not also just about lamenting, but a call for women to mobilize, to unite, to mobilize and speak out. And for us to encourage them to be more outspoken, because when they speak out, it makes a whole lot of difference than just sitting down and accepting their fate. And also the need for inclusion.
They need to pay attention to details, to pay attention to data, and to also present this data and evidence in a form that is admissible, in a form that is presentable, in a form that can be used in judicial proceedings and in inquiries, and to also drive advocacy. And that is why participants in this school, in this training, have, I believe, now acquired the basic knowledge about the relationship between evidence, data, and the work that they undertake. And we gave practical examples that what is seen normally evokes more passion than what is heard. So if there is environmental devastation in a community, it is important to document it. When it is documented, that evidence should be preserved, because subsequently there may be need to seek redress, and that piece of evidence may become very relevant in resolving the issue.
The school highlighted that one of the challenges of environmental justice is that people presume it is a Niger Delta problem, ignoring that the effects of climate change cut across all sectors of the economy, particularly agriculture, irrespective of the region of extractivism. Nigerian youths were urged to unify themselves and commence a movement that will bring about climate justice in the country. The essence of the School of Ecology was to build young people's power for climate action, knowing that there are very little interest in carrying out climate action among global leaders. Esele Ojanelo for HOMEF TV.
An anti-GMO rally organized by Health of Mother Earth Foundation and the GMO-Free Nigeria Alliance in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, saw stakeholders including farmers, CSOs, scientists, legal practitioners, women, and youth groups call on the Nigerian government to ban GMOs and support and promote agroecology as a viable alternative for food sovereignty and climate resilience in the country. The group took the rally to the floor of the National Assembly. The report. In 2024, a petition was sent to the Nigerian House of Assembly seeking for the ban of GMOs. And today we're here again in front of the Assembly quarters requesting that the government should enact that law. Before now, the people are saying that they want to eat organic foods, but the government has turned deaf ears to this call. And today we're on the streets here in Abuja demanding that there should be an end to GMO.
We are not in short supply of alternatives in agroecology and organic farming. What happened to those eras where people from Ekiti State produces yam that are unheeded without chemical or without static input? So it's a question of sincerity of government. And as long as we allow these corporate guys to begin to suggest policies that are alien, are beginning to determine the wealth of the people, is quite unfortunate.
There are several reasons we are saying no to GMOs. At the forefront is the impact on our environment. GMOs pose a very serious threat to local varieties, Nigeria's genetic resources, because the genes can transfer from the modified crops to our local crops. So in the long run, we risk losing our food heritage. That's one of the major reasons we are calling for caution with the deployment of GMOs.
Europe is rejecting our bees because of it's those with chemicals. With GMOs, it comes in a cocktail of chemicals. You can't plant GMOs alone. We've known of the issues of using a lot of chemicals to plant this food. So our message is clear: ban GMOs in Nigeria. Go to other countries and see what they are doing. Even in the US, to buy organic food, that's what people are going to. GMOs, you can easily afford them. We don't want to burden our system, our health system, with sick people.
The call is simple. From everyone standing behind, you can hear them. They say never to the call for GMOs. They are pushing for agroecology, which is a sustainable way to life. From here in Abuja, I am Kome Odomo for HOMEF TV. Still on the issue of advocating for climate justice, HOMEF and her team members were in Belém to talk about issues that were raised in COP30. The report.
Mr. President, Excellencies, 10 years ago in Paris, we were designing the future, a future that would clearly see the curve of emissions bend downwards.
For 30 years, the Conference of Parties have danced around the issues of recognizing the fact that the burning of fossil fuels is the major driver of climate crisis. COP30 formally opened on November 10th and dragged beyond the due date due to non-readiness to accept this fate. The opening and closing of COP30 were marked by significant events not related to climate ambitions, but by unplanned happenings. The forceful entry into the COP venue by indigenous Brazilian protesters who felt excluded from the conference and needed to be heard broke through security, raising critical questions about who should be at the table of negotiations. This gave rise to the heavily militarized COP in the following days. Besides the many areas of divergence at the conference, there was an agreement that Turkey should host COP31, while interestingly, Australia will hold the COP presidency with powers to manage talks, prepare drafts, and issue a cover decision. This broke the stalemate that lasted for over a year. Brazil hosted its flagship proposal of the Tropical Forest Forever Facility, TFF, which in reality is a little more than another variety of carbon offset or forced climate solution mechanism. It is a basic tool for the financialization of nature and will benefit carbon speculators more than forest-dependent communities or even highly forested nations. It sounded new, but its antecedents dates back more than a decade. Competing with the 1,700 fossil fuel lobbyists that were at COP29 in Baku, COP30 had 1,600 fossil fuel lobbyists in the halls and lobbies, with obvious objectives of erasing any mention of fossil fuels in outcome documents or demanding its phasing out as an energy source. And they succeeded. To them, it doesn't matter if the earth burns, as long as they accumulate profits in the interim. In the bid to end fossil fuel and transition to renewables, 82 countries supported the roadmap spearheaded by Colombia on the transition away from fossil fuel. Nigeria and Ghana are among the conspicuously missing countries on the list. Talks were suspended at the COP venue on Thursday 20th after a fire broke out in the African Pavilion in Zone B area due to the suspected electrical problem. It caused panic in the halls and evacuation of the whole Blue Zone, where negotiations and related events were underway. The fire was swiftly extinguished, with no one seriously harmed and 19 people treated for smoke inhalation. The UN Secretary General noted that after decades of denial and delay by many, science tells us that a temporary overshoot above 1.5 degrees, starting at the latest in the early 2030s, have become inevitable. This would mean more heat and hunger, more disaster and displacement, and a high risk of crossing climate tipping points, unleashing irreversible damage, including in the Amazons. For him, the mission begins in Belém, with an appeal to the delegation to show willingness and flexibility to deliver results that protects people and keep the 1.5 degrees alive. His plea fell largely on deaf ears. 10 years after the Paris Agreement, the UNEP Emissions Gap Report shows that today's nationally determined contributions, even if fully implemented, will put us on a path well above 2 degrees of global warming. Finally, and very importantly, it is imperative to urgently halt and reverse deforestation to ensure that nature remains a shield, not a casualty. With COP31 in Turkey, will there be any difference from the previous COPs? I'm Kome Odomo for HOMEF TV. Thank you for staying with us. You've been watching the news on HOMEF TV. I'm Kome Odomo. Merry Christmas.